My brother knights, it is good to speak to you in these challenging times. I applaud you for holding your convention via teleconference. The coronavirus pandemic has changed our daily life, but it will not change our commitment to fraternity. This is not the first pandemic the Knights of Columbus has faced. In the late 19th century, and again in 1918, we remained strong and active as sickness spread. What was true then is true now. Why? Because we have remained true to the principles of the order. I have said before that where there's a need, there's a knight. This is a time of great need, and once again, we must stand together to meet it. We have the financial strength to address the suffering we see around us. But more importantly, we have the fraternal strength to do the great works of charity that the times demand. As leaders of your jurisdiction, you have the responsibility to mobilize our efforts. Thank you for what you have already done. It is impressive. Your councils and your brother knights will continue to look to you for leadership. Continue to show them the Knights of Columbus way to put their faith into action. In March, we launched our new initiative, Leave No Neighbor Behind, to respond to this pandemic. It calls on all knights to support our brothers, to support our parishes, and to support our communities, to feed the hungry, and to participate in blood drives. You and your councils are the linchpin of this order-wide effort to leave no neighbor behind. I would ask you to begin with the brothers in your council. Please contact every one of your members. Do they need a helping hand in some way during this pandemic? During this time, no brother knight should feel forgotten or left behind by the brothers of his council. And we should have the same approach to the members of our parishes and our neighborhoods. At the start of Holy Week, we announced a multi-million-dollar campaign to support food banks in the United States and Canada. We are providing urgent support to the hardest-hit communities and the neediest among us. Our initial commitment of $1,250,000 is only the first phase of this campaign. Many councils and individual knights have contributed to our effort, and this important work will continue in the days ahead. In addition to our charity, we are also standing strong for unity. In Rome, the Order is making it possible for the Vatican's Bambino Gesù Hospital to create a dedicated treatment area for infants afflicted with the coronavirus. We were proud to sponsor the Pope's Holy Week broadcasts, including his historic Urbi et Orbi blessing of the city of Rome and of the world in response to the pandemic. Pope Francis has called on all Christians to unite their voices to heaven, and I urge every knight and his family to pray our prayer for protection in time of pandemic. As the crisis continues, the need for charity and unity will continue to grow. The same is true of fraternity. With all in-person Knights of Columbus meetings and events canceled for the foreseeable future, we are finding new ways to bring our brother knights together. This convention is a sign of what's possible, and the Supreme Council will continue to provide guidance and support. We have expanded our monthly Nightline email to a new weekly edition, and each email contains practical and spiritual resources for our brother knights and their families. The challenges are great, but our determination to overcome them is greater still. And as we move through this pandemic together, the Knights of Columbus will be there. We will leave no neighbor behind, and we will forge ahead together as brother knights. I believe our response to this crisis will rank among the Order's finest hours. This fraternal year, the Knights of Columbus reached 2 million members. This is an historic milestone, and I thank all the brother knights who made this possible. The day I was elected your Supreme Knight, I said we have a moral obligation to offer the benefits of membership in the Knights of Columbus to every eligible Catholic man. Father McGivney's gift to us of this wonderful organization was never intended as a gift for only a few. It was always meant to be shared. Now, nearly 20 years later, I believe this more strongly than ever before. The more men who join, the more lives we will transform and communities we will serve. The more men we have, the more we will do for our parishes, and the more Catholic families we will strengthen. Now, a key component of our efforts going forward will be our new exemplification ceremony. It has already received an overwhelmingly positive response, and well it should. It teaches our lessons of charity, unity, and fraternity in a way that is compelling and grounded in the rich history of the order. It will make it easier to bring men into our ranks and for those men to serve as council officers. This new ceremony provides a gateway to inspire the next generation of knights and strengthen councils across the globe. Now it is available in a virtual format when in-person ceremonials are not possible. Men join the Knights of Columbus for the benefits of belonging to our great Catholic brotherhood. Our principles of charity and unity change lives for the better every day. The secret of our impressive growth is simple. Through the spiritual genius of Father McGivney, we have found a way to transform friends into brothers, brothers who are committed to one another. Today, the Knights of Columbus offers Catholic men a path of Christian discipleship, a path marked by the guideposts of charity, unity, and fraternity. It is a path we walk, not just one day a week, but 24/7. Last year, our brother Knights gave more than $185 million to charity and volunteered more than 76 million hours. We fed the hungry, sheltered the homeless, donated more than 8,500 wheelchairs, and put coats on the backs of more than 117,000 children. I am proud that earlier in this fraternal year, Brother Knights from Mexico and the United States came together to provide food, water, and clothing to displaced families along the border, and especially to women and children. These efforts are in keeping with our long history of defending the downtrodden and the marginalized. We continue our efforts to rebuild Christian communities in Iraq, and when it comes to defending the right to life, the Knights of Columbus continues to lead the way. Just over 10 years ago, we launched a new initiative with the goal of placing 1,000 ultrasound machines in crisis pregnancy centers. We've not only met that goal, we've exceeded it. Today, we have placed more than 1,200 ultrasound machines in those centers. And if each ultrasound reduces the number of abortions by just one each week, then we will have saved more than 60,000 children in the coming year. Think of that. 60,000 children saved. As I have said before, this is the greatest humanitarian achievement in the history of the Knights of Columbus. But there is still much more for us to do. We must continue to rescue the unborn until that time when their lives are once again protected by law. In all we do, we seek a charity that evangelizes. The Lord has called us to be His witnesses, and especially to be His witnesses in our homes and in our parishes. This is why, several years ago, we launched the Building the Domestic Church program. This is why we started our Faith in Action initiative. These programs deserve the attention of every council, and so does our powerful new video series, Into the Breach. Today, I ask that every council promote these programs. During this pandemic, when Catholics are spending more time than ever at home, our programs to build up the church of the home are needed more than ever. Our history is one in which we can all be proud. Today, nearly every jurisdiction can boast 100 years of fraternity and charity. This year marks another milestone in the history of the order, 100 years of charitable service in Rome to the successor of Peter. Recently, the supreme officers and supreme directors traveled to the Eternal City, where Pope Francis received us in a private audience. That pilgrimage commemorated the first Knights of Columbus audience with Pope Benedict XV in 1920. In his message to us, Pope Francis praised our faithful witness in defense of life, our support for persecuted Christians, and all our charitable efforts. And he also thanked us, and now I quote him, for our unswerving devotion to the successor of Peter. And I would ask you to pay particular attention to these words of Pope Francis. He said, "In our world, marked by divisions and inequalities, the generous commitment of your order to serve all in need offers, especially to young people, an important inspiration to overcome a globalization of indifference and build together a more just and inclusive society." I also believe that every bishop in your jurisdiction could say the same about your work. My brother Knights, the Knights of Columbus is needed today more than ever before, not only to confront and overcome the coronavirus pandemic, but to protect our church and to ensure a future of faith for our children and our grandchildren. My sincere hope is that, amidst all these challenges, we grow closer to one another and to the Lord, and that each of us will live more profoundly our principles of charity, unity, and fraternity, and that we will live lives, as Pope Francis has said, worthy of the high call that God has given us. May the Venerable Father McGivney and Our Lady of Guadalupe pray for us all. Vivat Jesus.